Pakistan cricket at its best. 1 minute down, next minute up.
Thanks very much, everybody, for joining me once again. Another exclusive interview for you. Gentleman who I'm interviewing today is one of those rare cricketers who played for two international countries, in his case, South Africa and Namibia. He's played 15 ODIs and 50 T20Is. He's a popular franchise pick around the world. He's played a lot of county cricket as well, CPL, Lanka Premier League, and as I said, many years in the county circuit as well. In the Pakistan Super League, I would describe him as a legend at Lahore Qalandars. Somebody who's admired by fans, his teammates, the coaching staff, and all the management, and they passionately follow his career, and they call him Murshid, the one and only David Wiese. David, thanks very much for joining me.
Thanks for those kind words. Appreciate it.
David, it's PSL time again, and it soon comes round, doesn't it? Excitement building in your household at being back in Pakistan and playing another Pakistan Super League?
Yeah, I mean, it's always exciting leading up to a tournament. It's a bit strange with this one being so late in the year. It feels like the last edition was such a long time ago. With the Champions Trophy being held in Pakistan, it's had to be shifted a little bit later. So, I'm excited. I'm ready to go. It feels like I said, a long time since I've been in Lahore, and I'm just looking forward to it.
I was just going to say, I mean, it's not one of those situations where you play that many franchise leagues around the world. You seem to have that affinity with Lahore Qalandars. You're almost like part of the family now, aren't you? So it must feel special every time you play for them.
Yeah, it's now my 7th year with Lahore, and it's one of those teams that, from the start, they gave me an opportunity as a replacement player back in 2019, and fortunately I did well there. And since then, I've been, like you said, part of the furniture. And it's a team that I hold dearly to my heart. Me and the owners, we get on really well. The entire squad, everyone, we're quite a close knit family. And there's a couple of guys there that have been there for quite a few years now. So it's always a place that I'm excited to go back to, and hopefully when I'm finished playing one day, that relationship doesn't end. I can still be a part of the team somehow.
And as I mentioned in the intro, you're fondly known as Murshid. So you're looked up to and revered by, as I said, the fans and your colleagues, aren't you?
Yeah, that's something that I've also really enjoyed with the team. Being able to mentor some of the younger players there. Lahore Qalandars is quite big with their PDP programs, their player development programs there, and there's always seems to be one or two guys coming through the system every single year. And it's nice for me to go over there and to have an affinity with the guys where they look up to me a little bit, and I can pass a little bit of knowledge onto the younger players.
After the euphoria of the back-to-back wins, David, it was a bit of a crash landing last time around, wasn't it? Finishing bottom of the points table. That must have been really disappointing. I mean, where do you feel things went wrong?
Yeah, it was a bit of a tough one last year. I feel like we weren't that far off. There were a couple of games where we lost off the last ball twice, I think, against Karachi. There were a couple of games where we were, crucial moments went our way. Things could have been differently, and we could have snuck into the playoffs. But, ultimately, I remember Harris Ralph got injured also. That didn't help. I sat out half the tournament. I also had a bit of an injury, which was frustrating for myself. And sometimes you're leading into a tournament, your bowlers or your batters just aren't in form. And I felt last year some of the guys were just struggling a little bit with form. And when that happens, it's almost a roller coaster ride when you're searching for something. So, it wasn't the best season last year for us, but we weren't that far off. And hopefully this year we can get off to a good start and we can take a little bit of momentum into the latest part of the tournament.
Qalandars have been known for their stability in terms of management, in terms of players and coaches as well. Obviously, Aqib Javed has been there a number of years, and then Darren Gough was supposed to take over. He was unavailable for various reasons. And now you've got Russell Domingo. So, I mean, all that sort of last-minute changes of coach, is that unsettling for the players?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that unsettling. Personally, I've worked with Russell Domingo quite a lot, so I know him as a person, I know his character, and I think he'll fit, straight in with the Qalandars and, the culture of the change room and the team. Besides for Aqib, Javed, and I think everyone is still, the core of the team is still there. And a lot of the times we've always said that with the Qalandars, it's, the players actually are the important people over there. Akib just used to sit back and let us, allow us to do what we do. Coaches can't play on the field. Coaches can make strategic decisions off the field, but ultimately when it gets onto the field, the trust is in the players to go out there and perform. And I think that's what the Qalandars have done well over the years, is that they've empowered the players on the field, and the management has stepped back and just given the players that opportunity and the trust they're going to get the job done. And I don't think it's going to be any different with Russell. I mean, he's a phenomenal coach. He's an international quality coach. I think he's got like 9 years international cricket behind his name. Yes. So man, I was saying, I've worked with him quite a bit. He was the Proteas coach and I was there. And he's the character and the type of coach that he is. I think he'll fit in perfectly with the Qalandars and with our culture and, our beliefs in the team. I think he's going to be a great asset to the team, and, he's just going to be able to empower the players and sit back and let the players perform and let the players go and do what they do in the field.
You mentioned about player empowerment, David, and that's where players like yourself, the experienced guys, the wise heads, the old heads, you could say, that's where they come into the fore, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The coaches can only prepare you so much, but once you get onto the field, that's where the players have to step up and take responsibility. And the more experience you have in certain situations, the more times you've been in those situations, you tend to know how to respond. And if you look at our team now, Fakir Zaman's been there for a long time. Shaheen, even though he's young, he is a senior leader, captain of the team, and he's got a lot of experience in international cricket. Harish Ralph is now played a lot of international cricket. Abdullah Shafiq has stepped onto the scene for the last 2 years now, and he's been there. So, we've got a lot of experience in that team now. So there's no longer an excuse of saying that, it's a PDP program, the players are coming through the ranks or anything. There's a lot of guys who have got experience now in international and franchise cricket. So, this season, it's going to be important for those players to actually step up and drive that team forward.
The Lahore Qalandars squad looks on paper very strong. I've spoken to various people from other franchises, and the Qalandars name keeps getting mentioned as potential winners this time around. Would you agree with the strength in the squad this time?
Yeah, I think we had a good draft. I think, the guys strategically got in the players that we needed. Obviously losing Rashid Khan, you can't replace him. He's an integral part of the team and of our success in those two back-to-back titles. He was a major part of that success. So that was a bit difficult to replace him, and we had to restructure the squad and the team a little bit. But, being able to get guys like Daryl Mitchell in, Sam Billings back again, Tom Curran is now joining us also. We've got all our bases covered in the team, not to mention Sikandar Raza is also becoming part of the furniture with us now, to Qalandar that he is. So, I think we've got a good team on paper. We've got all our bases covered. But as we know, it doesn't get played on paper. You still need to step out there. You still need to go put in the performances. And to be honest with you, looking at all of the other squads, I think, it's very evenly matched this year. And I feel like, any of the 6 teams that are there, or any of the teams that are there can actually go and lift the title this year, which is quite exciting for the tournament.
You mentioned Shaheen Afridi there, David, and he was made captain for Pakistan, the T20I captain, and only lasted 5 matches. Were you surprised that he was only given 5 matches as Pakistan T20I skipper?
Yeah, I was. I mean, we can say what we want about Pakistan and the politics that goes in the selection, and they've been through a couple coaches, and there's a lot of turmoil going on there at this stage, and it must be tough for the players. But I still felt when they gave him the job, he was the right guy for the job. He'd had success in the PSL, winning back-to-back trophies. He's an experienced player now. He's one of the first names on your team sheet, and he's a leader, and he leads by example the whole time. So I did feel like it was a little bit harsh on him for them to take it away so soon. I don't know if they felt that he wasn't ready, or maybe the workload for him to lead the bowling attack and be captain, everything was a bit too much. I'm not quite sure. They must have had their reasons, but when he got made captain, I thought that he would get given an extended run. Unfortunately not. That didn't happen, but that doesn't take away his capability as captain. I still back him 100%, and I still see him as a quality leader, and his cricketing instinct, I've always said from the start, is his instinct in the game is pretty spot on most of the time. So hopefully he'll be given the opportunity again at some stage.
You mentioned about Pakistan's struggles at the moment, David, and it's been a tough time to be a follower of Pakistan cricket. Have you spotted anything where they're going wrong, or any advice for the players?
Look, I think it's a tough situation when you get in. The situation, I feel like at the moment they're just chasing results the whole time. They're looking for that magic formula. They're looking for that magic coach, that the best combination in the team. They're giving guys opportunity. They're giving new captains there. And once you get to that situation where it's a hamster wheel, it's a tough place to be. I feel like international players and the best international teams are teams that are about cohesiveness and stability the whole time. And they give guys extended runs. And you don't know. It starts off with the coaching staff. Gary Kirsten wasn't there for too long. Jason Gillespie also didn't last too long. Akib Javed, don't know if Akib's going to be there for long or not either. Even before that, we had Wahab Riaz in for a while. We had Mohammad Hafiz, and there's never been that stability in the team. And it's difficult for a player to go and go and give your best and to go and play fearless and freely and everything if you feel like you've always got to look over your shoulder. So, I feel for the players there, because we've seen in the PSL there are quality players, and there's a number of players who aren't playing for Pakistan at the moment who's just as good and who could potentially step up and play for Pakistan in the future. But it's a bit of a tough space at the moment, and I feel like they just need to stop looking for that magic formula and just decide, okay, these are our best players. This is who we're going to back, and give them 12 to 18 months lead up to the T20 World Cup next year. Pick a earmark a 18-man squad now, and just keep picking those players the whole time leading into the T20 World Cup next year and see how it goes. At least those guys will be given the best opportunity to do well in that World Cup.
You mentioned young players being given a chance in international cricket, and recently Jahandad Khan was given a chance, obviously a teammate of yours at Lahore Qalandars. It was a tough introduction for him into international cricket. He obviously didn't have the best of starts, but is he somebody who you're earmarking for the future, David?
Yeah, 100%. From the start, even at the Qalandars, we saw JD as a great all-rounder. I always feel like they saw him as somebody who could go step into the role that I was playing. In the next couple of years, he's a great, being a left-arm bowler is a great addition to the team. Also, he's got fantastic skills. I think he's very underrated as a bowler, and batting-wise, we saw what he could do. He's a phenomenal striker also. But again, he's very inexperienced in not just international cricket, but cricket in general. He hadn't played a lot of cricket before he got chosen for Pakistan, and it was great for them to give him that opportunity. But sometimes when you give guys opportunity too early, it kind of sets them back a little bit, and they don't know how to handle that. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes and goes about his business now in PSL. It's his second big PSL coming up now. He'll want to go out and prove a point, also prove that he is worthy of that Pakistan jersey and playing international cricket. But it was a bit of a surprise when I saw him getting called up. I was a little bit scared that it might be a little bit early for him. He's still a raw talent and he still needs to learn quite a bit. But like I said, that's where guys wiser heads step in, and hopefully I can help him out. And he's always willing to go and learn and to learn something new. And hopefully we can get that going for him sure, so you can just go from strength to strength.
And finally, the talent each year seems to be stronger and stronger, and especially the overseas players, market this time around. I think they've had a better quality overseas talent available for the franchises to draft those players in, because of obviously players at the IPL not necessarily being selected and the PSL being at the same time as the IPL. Who do you see as the main rivals this time for the Qalandars, David?
Oh, that's a tough one. I feel like you can't write off Multan. They always seem to be there the whole time. They're a team that's a really good team. They've got some good quality players there. They always just seem to be up there. Looking at the other teams, I think Quetta's looking strong also this year. I think they had a really good draft. They're looking strong. Karachi with David Warner leading that team now might just be a little spark that they need also to go there. Islamabad being the defending champions, they're looking strong also.
You're naming all the teams
Yeah,
here, David.
it's tough one. It really is a tough one. I am, and it's honestly, I can't sit there and say to myself, oh, they clear favourites, or we're going to play against those guys. They're going to be an easier team, because the teams really do look strong and stacked up this year. So I think it's going to be a great PSL. I think it's going to be jam-packed, entertaining. Hopefully, Qalandars can go and get off to a good start, and we can push through for those playoff spots. And we'll just have to take it a day at a time, I suppose, out there.
And Qalandars fans, the expectations, the passion for the team to do well. What's your message to those fans out there?
Yeah, I think Qalandars has got one of the best fans in the world, because they're pure cricketing fans. They're not just there for you when it's good times. They're there for you in times of tough also, and they've always supported us through the good, through the bad. And we want to go out there and reward them for that this year again. I mean, last year wasn't our best showing, but we know when we're going to go play in Lahore this year, the Gaddafi Stadium is going to be jam packed full of our fans, and we always appreciate it. And hopefully we can give them a good showing. But thanks for all the support, and keep supporting us, and we'll definitely see you guys out there soon.
Many thanks for your time, David. Have a safe trip to Pakistan. Enjoy the tournament, and best wishes for the tournament. Cheers.